All right, let's talk Josh Allen against this actually, I think, really underrated Ravens defense, and we'll talk about why. I already made a video talking about the other side of the ball, Lamar Jackson, and how he can attack this Bills defense, so check that out. It's already up, but yeah, if or not, if you don't want to, you can just watch this one, and that's fine as well. But in this video, what I'm going to do is I am going to start off with some numbers, then we'll get into some film, and finally I will give my prediction on who I have winning this game that kind of feels like a number one contenders match, with the Chiefs probably going to be there in the AFC Championship game, although you never know. But yeah, let's talk about this game. So let's start off with this chart just to familiarize ourselves with these two teams. These are where each of these teams have ranked in terms of PFF grades. You see that Josh Allen is only 8th, which PFF has always been kind of weird about Josh Allen. I will mention it has jumped up to 6th since the playoffs have started, if you include that, so for whatever that's worth. 18th receiving core, though, versus the 9th ranked coverage unit, and we'll get into a little bit more of that because that's actually a really interesting preview. Also worth noting, though, the Bills, they pass block very well. Ravens pass rush all right, but there's a mismatch there in favor of Buffalo. The running game is also interesting. 5th highest graded run defense going up against the 3rd highest graded rushing. That's just purely running the ball, but only 17th run blocking. So what's going to happen there? Well, we'll see. But I actually want to circle back to the receiving core and the coverage for the Ravens because they did something different at the bye week. So they played the first 10 games, they had a bye week, and when they came out of the bye week, they shuffled some defensive backs around. Really, Marlon Humphrey went from playing outside to playing a lot of slot. Earlier, Kyle Hamilton was playing a lot of slot corner. They pushed him back down the field, and then they had Nate Wiggins play a lot more. That's kind of, among some other little things, that's what they did, and it's just paid off in a huge way. I'm going to use a stat on this chart called EPA, which is estimated points added per play. So it's kind of like it's sort of like a passer rating is the way to look at it, but you'll just see where they ranked. Basically, you want to be good in that category. You see the total EPA for the Ravens on the year is 11th. But if you look at how they performed, weeks 1 through 10, and then weeks 11 to now, it is completely different, and that's including the playoff game that they played. So weeks 1 through 10, their overall EPA was 27th defensively, so that's not good, one of the worst in the league, and drop back was 30th, which is one of the worst in the league. So they're not defending the pass well, and they're just not playing well, period. Since then, since they made this shift, and again, I didn't pick out the week to make the numbers most significant. I legitimately just looked at when did they make this shift, and then what were the numbers. They've now gone to being the best team in terms of EPA defensively, and the best coverage team according to EPA defensively. That's a crazy jump. So those little moves that they have made has turned this into a elite defense. And if you're a Bills fan thinking, hey, their defense has been up and down, maybe we can take advantage, don't view it that way. Now, the one, I think, silver lining that's maybe a good thing if you're a Bills fan is, well, you got crushed with the weeks 1 through 10 defense. Maybe this is a better matchup. Maybe it might be a tougher situation, but it wasn't so bad the last time. Maybe this is actually, there's more room for good things to happen here. That's what you're hoping if you're a Bills fan. Also, just to really highlight the drop back EPA since weeks 11 on, just again, I know these numbers are confusing, and if this is not a stat you use, which is for most people, you might not know what any of this means, but you see the Ravens are minus 0.121. The next closest is a third of the way there. So they are blowing every other team out of the water when they're playing coverage now since they made those shifts. So again, maybe part of that is they played the Bengals twice before that. They didn't have to play the Bengals again after that. Like that factors in, right? But still, it's impressive stuff. Now let's go over here. We're running a little long with the numbers, but hopefully you don't mind. I think it's interesting stuff. You see that, so what this chart is where each of the Bills' key receivers rank in terms of PFF grades and yards per route ran when they're playing man and then when they're playing zone. Those are the two stats we're looking at. You see, I mean, to be honest, a lot of their guys are pretty good regardless of what you throw at them. Like Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, they all kind of can play against man or zone, and the Ravens do like to do both of those things. However, if you look at the Ravens chart, I decided to make one for their secondary as well. You see that, and I'll take a little bit longer on this. Sorry, if you were more interested in the Bills chart, you can pause it and look at that if you want to. But the Ravens defensive chart here, you see that. So Marlon Humphrey, let's start off with him. He's the slot corner now. He can play on the outside. We know he can, but he's been the slot corner. PFF grade's really good regardless of what coverage. Passer rating of 44 against when he's playing man. He just doesn't give up anything there. And then 75 against when he's playing in zone. And again, keep in mind, part of it is being a slot corner. It's hard to throw down the field on you because you're the slot corner, but not always. He will play some outside too. He's played about half his snaps on the outside this season, so he does both for sure. But if they need him in the slot, he goes in the slot. Nate Wiggins and Brandon Stevens have both basically just been outside corners. You see that PFF has not been as crazy about them when they play man coverage. Although Wiggins' passer rating against has been much better. I should have set that up. That's the other stat, passer rating against. 72.6 passer rating against in man, and then drops to just a 58.3 when he's in zone. PFF isn't crazy about Brandon Stevens, and the passer rating isn't crazy about him either. He gives up over 110, whether he's playing man or zone, passer rating against. So that's your area where you want to attack if you're Buffalo, because the safeties, you can't attack those. Passer ratings are okay in those spots because it's a safety. If you're targeting a safety, your passer rating is going to go up, right? Because it's probably down the field. But Kyle Hampton and Adarius Washington, both really great PFF grades, whether they're playing man or zone. There's no way to beat them there. There just isn't. Also, this is Josh Allen's stats when he is blitzed and when he is not blitzed. This matters because the Ravens don't blitz a ton. 8th least in the league this year, although they will, again, matchup dependent, they will change their philosophy. But you see, Allen's PFF grade is the exact same when he is blitzed versus not blitzed. That's interesting enough. But his pass rating does go down when he's not blitzed. So again, this part of the matchup, I think, does favor the Baltimore Ravens. We'll do some box score stats from the first game. I promise we're almost about to get into film right here. Josh Allen's numbers were not exactly MVP-like the last time these two teams played. They just weren't. 180 yards, no touchdowns on 29 attempts. Not the biggest disaster you'll ever see because at least he didn't throw any interceptions, but he did have a fumble in there as well that they lost, and that was a key fumble in that game because they were down 11 points midway through the third quarter. If they score a touchdown, it's a game. That fumble essentially killed their chances. You see, Khalil Shakir had some yards. Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid both were able to do some stuff. Not much else in the passing game. Also, the running game is important to note. I mean, we saw last week with the Bills, they tried to run the ball a lot. That was a big part of their game plan and how they were ultimately able to beat Denver. You see, last time these two teams played, James Cook only 4.3 yards per carry on his 9 carries. Ray Davis had 7 carries for just 11 yards. So, and even Josh Allen wasn't able to do much. Of course, the X factor is Josh Allen's going to run more. Josh Allen's going to run more. It's the playoffs. You got to make stuff happen. So keep your eye out for that. But okay, let's finally get into some film and let's talk about what happened last time these two teams played, but also in a way where I'm trying to preview what's going to happen in the future. So this play, first things first, it's going to be a man coverage play, and this is Marlon Humphrey on Khalil Shakir. So this is something you have to assume will be a big matchup. So while we can guess how it can go, let's see how it went last time. As you see, Josh Allen's going to take the snap. He looks in Shakir's direction. He fires in Shakir's direction, and there really isn't much separation. So this is where I think, Baltimore can give you advantages defensively that other teams might not be able to. They can cover really well. They can win these one-on-ones. We saw just last week, even for a team like Denver, who has a good coverage unit, they weren't really able to cover Buffalo one-on-one. The Ravens were able to a lot in this game. As you see, Humphrey wins that matchup, and part of it too is for Denver, this isn't really what they do. They like to play a lot more zone. For the Ravens, this is what they do. They're comfortable in this spot, so it's a bit of a tougher matchup there. However, heading over here, that doesn't mean you can't win it if you're the Bills. Like I said, there were moments when they looked good. This time it's a 3rd down and 6 situation, although it actually looks a little bit shorter than that from where I'm sitting. But regardless, it's a 3rd down and medium, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to try and get Dalton Kincaid open. He's going up against Kyle Hamilton, but they have this little rub route going as well. And as you see on this play, Josh Allen hits Kincaid. Kincaid's able to make the play work. They pick up the 1st down right there. That's good stuff, and that's what the Bills can do and what they're going to try and do. And also this, I think, is something you have to look at is, so we have Keon Coleman going one-on-one against Brandon Stephens. It's worth mentioning, no Amari Cooper in this game. This was before the Amari Cooper trade, so the Bills did not have him. But you got Keon Coleman one-on-one against Brandon Stephens, who, as I mentioned, is kind of the biggest weakness for the Ravens. And I would say, if you're the Bills, it might be a good idea to have a lot of Keon Coleman and Amari Cooper both on the outside. See who Stephens is covering, and if there's not safety help, then just throw it down the field, see if you can get a big play. Because like on this play, that's what's going to happen is you have a one-on-one matchup. Allen is firing it here, and for Stephens, I mean, I honestly would say this isn't even horrible coverage, but his back is turned towards the quarterback. He can't play the ball. Keon Coleman can. And because of that, they're able to make this big play. That's something you have to exploit. You just have to exploit it if you're the Bills, is you have to figure out ways to, find their weakness. The Ravens don't have a ton of weaknesses in the secondary, but that is one of them. Brandon Stephens down the field. Make him beat you is what you're going to have to do. Now, going over to a play like this is zone coverage, and the Ravens will do this as well. They'll play their zone coverage. Like I said, they do everything. It's a 3rd down and 5, and the fact that they mix things up can often fool offensive coordinators. You can't do that pick play I showed you earlier where you think it's going to work because, well, now they're playing zone coverage, and now that play doesn't work. Allen takes the snap, and nothing is open. He's going to do what he can, scrambles outside the pocket, but this is a bad situation. I mean, nothing gets open right away. Like, basically, the play is over. This is the other thing with Josh Allen, is he is a superstar level player. Regardless of who you think deserved MVP between him and Lamar Jackson, Allen is going to beat you at times. And just because you have a play covered does not mean it's going to work. Look at Denver last week. They had some plays covered, and Allen said, I don't care. I'm going to scramble around, wait until something gets open, and then I'm going to throw a touchdown. Here, you see Allen wall off balance, is able to make this huge throw down the field. Khalil Shakir gets open. They get inside the 5. I mean, that's just the thing, is we can preview all these little matchups all we want. At the end of the day, when you have a superstar level quarterback, it just breaks all the rules. Everything is different, and they have a superstar level quarterback. So, in conclusion, the Ravens have some good matchups. I didn't bring up the running game too much, but I'm not banking on the Bills being able to win the game with running the football. Maybe on key plays, like maybe some key Josh Allen scrambles for sure. That could be a thing. And like I said, Allen's going to run the ball more. That should help. But just in the traditional handoff game, I don't think it can really win you the game in this one. They're going to need to make plays down the field, and part of it could be attacking Brandon Stephens, and then part of it has to be Josh Allen putting on the superhero cape, which he can do. I do think there is some concern in a game like this if you're saying, let's just hope Josh Allen can put on the superhero cape. But, he's done it all season. Why is he going to stop now? He's a superstar level player. He's going to play like one. He's, again, if he's not the MVP, he's second in line, in my opinion. I said I thought Lamar deserved it, but Allen's right there, and I think you can make an argument for both guys. So these are my predictions. The Bills' offensive points per drive on the season is second best in football at 3.1, which is one of the best we've seen, period. Just so happens the Lions also are having a historic season. Ravens' defensive points per drive isn't great at 2.01, but again, keep in mind, it's gotten so much better since the bye week. So about halfway through the year, it's gotten way better. I don't know how to isolate. I can't isolate those unless I just did the math myself, which I won't do, but it's been very good. The first time they played, it was a 1 points per drive. They had 10 points on 10 possessions, and I take out knees at the end of the half and stuff like that. I will mention that Josh Allen did miss a drive at the end. They put in Trubisky, so technically it's 1.11 points per drive for Josh Allen. But yeah, it wasn't dominant the first time they played. I think it's going to go okay in this game for the Bills. I really do think we're going to see a better Josh Allen performance. I think that they'll be able to, again, hit on some of those plays down the field. And like I said, there was a fumble in there last time. I think it would be a mistake to go into this game saying it's just going to be dominant because it was dominant last time. However, my final score prediction still is going to be Ravens 32, Bills 29. That's if it's a 10 possession game. Those are the points per drive guesses, so that's where I have it. I like the Ravens matchup here. Josh Allen destroys all matchups. He is matchup proof, but so is Lamar Jackson, right? I mean, these are two great quarterbacks. I just think that when you have the matchup advantage for the Ravens, that's how I would lean to them. But there's no doubt about it. The one thing I haven't talked about at all in either of these videos is the Lamar Jackson playoff choker thing. If he has a bad day, that probably flips things and the Bills win. Like, I know it's sometimes lazy analysis, but in this scenario, I do think it really could come down to the quarterbacks. But a lot of other stuff at play too. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and the last one. If you haven't checked it out already, check it out. I enjoy making these. I hope you enjoy watching these. Let me know your thoughts. Who's winning this marquee matchup? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.